The sail from Fiji to New Zealand is often considered to be one of the most challenging passages that many sailors will ever make. We have already done part of it. This is the next part. In this episode, there is a lot more winds, but there is also a lot more wildlife. Stay tuned.
You and me, we're family. The bond that we share is as deep as the sea. No matter how rough things may come to be, you and me, we're family. Sing ho.
The morning of day 7, and as you can probably hear and see, the wind has really picked up substantially. I mean, we've got a steady 22, 23, gusting up to 26, and we're actually pinching a lot because the wind's switched around to the south, and it's pushing us further east, which is no bad thing for a short while because we bagged a lot of miles to the west because we knew this was coming. But even so, it's a bit disconcerting seeing New Zealand slip away from underneath us. But this isn't due to last for much longer, maybe until lunchtime, and then it eases off and then starts coming from the west again. But it's been a long night. I mean, I tried to get some sleep in the cockpit, but it was impossible, and then it started to rain, so Renka came in and watched and helped out a bit. Then I went down to sleep down below, and it's too lively to get Yewan to do a watch, so me and Renka have split Yewan's watch between us, and then I'm officially back on watch at 7 o'clock, so I'm definitely going to need some sleep later on today, but at least we're getting some miles under the keel. I think we'd probably at this rate, if we kept going at this speed, we'd be there in New Zealand in 2 days, but it dies off later today and then picks up later on tonight, so let's just see how it goes.
Bashing into the waves, trying to get west. This is like impossible. All that wind and squalls and everything else, big seas from last night have now gone, and today it's been quite chilled out really. On your head. I guess the waves are still quite big, but nothing compared to last night. I think nowadays we look at them and we think that's nothing really. Just shows how many miles we've done. Yeah, so it's been like a quiet day, trying to catch up on sleep and just rest and take it easy really. A bit of music. Now we're having fish finger sandwiches, fish finger butties as we say, which is easy food, comfort food to just, you know, eat and then go to sleep really.
So my meal plan every day is a hot chocolate for the night watches. I don't have any breakfast. I have brunch, what is a ham sandwich. Then for dinner I just have whatever's going.
Meal plan is usually if I'm feeling hungry, a piece of toast for breakfast, but usually I kind of skip breakfast. For lunch, I might have some lunch, but usually not if it's rough. And for dinner, I'll have a bit of like whatever's going, like maybe if I'm having lasagna, I'll have a bit of lasagna or something like that. So to be honest, I don't think I really eat much on passage. And then for night watches, I have a cup of Yorkshire's biscuit. For night watch, I have a cup of Yorkshire's biscuit tea, and Yorkshire sent some of it over, and it actually tastes really good, the biscuit tea. Originally I was like, yeah, don't know if I like it, but I think I do. And a sweet or candy if you're American. I've noticed that some people have been taking bites out of the sweets and putting them back in.
I've only had 2 sweets on this passage.
Woody is woken up an hour and a half early. He's not happy. So the outer sheave of the outhaul rope was completely come away from the inner sheave. So it was getting caught and it wasn't furling in or out, well, out really. So we just replaced it with a temporary bit of rope, which we'll have to replace with a proper bit when we get to New Zealand, but it's working for now and that'll do. Right, we seem to have like a lot of infections on this passage. Everything's pussy and infected. Yeah, Darry's got it on his nose and on his toe, and Yewan's got it on his pimples, and now Woody's got it on his foot.
A few weeks ago I stood on some coral on a beach, and it was only a little nick, it wasn't really that much, but since then it's kind of swollen up and it feels like I'm walking on a pebble now because all of the infections build up behind it.
So I'm using
Mum's like the nurse.
this. So this is my new favourite thing. I've been using this every day. But it's doing the trick. It's getting rid of all the pus, and then you just keep it clean with iodine, and just hope that the infection clears basically before you have to move on to antibiotics.
Putting this oxygenated water, and it's found its way inside, and it seems to be like diluting the pus, and the pus is coming out in a liquid form and then mopping up. It's very pleasant, but certainly relieved it.
I didn't even touch you.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of...
So I'm just doing my twice daily water sampling collection. It's just a citizen science project I've been doing since we left Panama. Basically, I just put in a filter every time and put it into the device that I got from Go's science project, and I go and just collect water up to here twice a day, and then water filters through, and then I stick that under the microscope, take 5 photos, record it on a data sheet with the latitude and longitude, the day and the time, and send it off to them. They used to get us to kind of actually count all the particles in it, whether we could see anything, plastic, zooplankton, phytoplankton, that sort of thing, but I think everyone just probably found it too difficult to do that while you're at sea, because it takes a while to do this whole thing. And never mind then start trying to count all the particles, so I think they do that now back in the lab. But it's really nice to be part of it, and the kids see me doing it, and they always ask me what's in there, anything interesting, and just sort of it becomes maybe part of their life as well.
But all will be okay, I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine.
Catch anything?
We'll see. We have to leave it for a couple of hours, and it filters through, and then once it's filtered through, then we can photograph it.
I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Yeah, we're in that bit now where the lows come across, and there's quite a sort of busy, lively lot of winds coming through now. So we're just at the top end of it. So in some ways there's no rush really to get down, because the further south we go now, the worse it'll get. But if we just take it easy, we'll just follow behind as it passes through, and we'll start entering around the north bit of New Zealand when it's calmed down a bit tomorrow night actually. So yeah, it's quite a lot of swell, winds sort of gusting up to sort of between 25 and 30. We've only got a small bit of Genoa out and tiny bit of May now. We just put a bit more away because of the squall. And a little bit of mizzen. Mizzen we can kind of put in and out quite easily, so in some ways it's good to use that as a sort of stabiliser really, I suppose. On a beam reach it works quite well. But yeah, these waves are like mountains, just you look, they come right at the side, you can't see the horizon, and then you go right up over them and then drop down the other side. It's a little bit crazy. I love the fact the kids can just cozy up and just have a little sleep in the middle of it all, and you know, not care in the world really. It's really nice. It's good to know that they're safe on this boat as well. It's a good safe boat with a good cockpit, so you know, it's just kind of nice to know she's heavy and can handle all this rough sea, because this is, I mean, I don't know if it's the worst we've seen. I don't know really. We've seen pretty big waves. I think we've seen this sort of waves before, but it's like, I suppose you put it at that top 5 worst oceans conditions, this would be one of them, I suppose. If you like following our story, please hit the super thanks and help towards the creation of these videos. And if you'd like to have more access, we would love it if you join our Patreon family, where you get ad-free videos, cockpit sessions, downloads, guides, and you can message us directly.
So this is it, the penultimate night watch. We hope to get in on Saturday morning. It's Thursday night now, and the seas have definitely picked up now. It's hard to see what the average speed is because it's gusting so much, but we seem to be between 17 and 18, gusting about 23. And the waves, they've actually died down a little bit. They were like 3 to 4 meters, and now I'd say they're about 3 meters, probably just below. Just picked up the latest weather forecast on Predict Wind on the Iridium Go, and it changes. It seems to change every time we download it. But we're looking at 4s all the way in, and then it drops off. So a little bit less than what it was predicted yesterday, which was looking like 5s and 6s, which we were a bit worried about. But because our friends picked up on that, who were about 2 days ahead of us, and it sounded like they had a heck of a time. You know, gusting up to 40, and they were doing 14 knots just under bare poles. So they got knocked about a bit. So luckily we've avoided that, or we think we have. The weather forecast will be changeable. We put a lot of miles in west. We were advised to kind of go pretty far west, and then we can approach the North Island of New Zealand from the northwest. And that was really good advice, because we're now coming in on a sort of a close reach. And if we hadn't put those miles in, we would have been doing a close haul, which would have been very uncomfortable in these waves. But I think we've read the weather fairly well. Some friends of ours just leaving Fiji now on a better weather window, by all accounts. But it's just so hard to predict. You know, you could leave on what looks like the perfect weather window, and a couple of days later it all changes. So we're still buddy boating with our friends in Festina Lente. We keep sort of checking in with them every now and again, see if they're of the same opinion, and luckily all the way along we've been kind of come to the same conclusion and keeping to the same speed, so it's nice. And we've all picked up on another boat, I can't remember the name now, but they're not on AAS and they're not on Iridium Go, so we just suddenly were called up this morning. We actually met them in Fiji, in one of the islands as we were sailing through, and went on a few walks with them. So it was nice to hear from them. As you can see, a few days ago I was in a t-shirt and sweating all day, and maybe putting a t-shirt on at night. And what a difference a couple of days can make. So now I'm in my hat and hoodie and DeBarry's and a blanket. We've got a dog blanket on board to keep us warm. And yeah, it's a heck of a difference. We must have just crossed some sort of parallel. It's I know we've crossed from one weather system to the next, and there's a major drop in temperature. It's the first time we've worn our DeBarry boots since the Mediterranean, I think. We haven't bothered fishing the last few days because it just hasn't been the right conditions really, and we've been heeled over quite a lot. And gutting a fish in those conditions, or even landing a fish in those conditions, is not pleasant. And we got enough food on board anyway. We're using up our stocks of meat and fruit and nuts and berries and things like that, because none of that's allowed in New Zealand, so we've got to tip that overboard before we can get in there. We're doing between about 6.5 to 7 knots, and slightly off the wind as well to try and stop that banger, but every now and again we do get a wave over the bow and it hits the cockpit, so we've got everything locked down. A lot of the zips are bust on the bimini now, so some of that water gets in when we have one over the bows, but all in all it's been a fairly dry passage, which is good.
What do you do to entertain yourselves at sea? This is day, I'm not sure what day it is actually. Day 8, and we've still got these mighty big waves. I think you could probably call this passage like an initiation rite, a passage of initiation. We don't really tend to feel so much sick now, but yeah, that kind of sea can make you feel a little bit like that. But we're on the home stretch now. We have 85 miles to go, and the swell is subsiding, which is nice, and our speed is a nice kind of just over 6 knots. I think it'd be nice to enjoy this last bit. I kind of actually quite like to have a day of just like, it's like a debriefing day, I think, where you kind of get back to normal and you realise that, you know, you have got some control over this boat and this sailing. So yeah, we'll probably end up, you know, turning up tomorrow early as the morning in the daylight, which would be nice. Yeah, so actually Yewan slept there quite a lot last night, because he slept a lot yesterday there. That was his little spot, and then he came down below, and then he came back on watch with me and slept there for another 5-6 hours, because I think he just found it a nice cozy little spot.
This was like the only place I've slept on the boat for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
The only place. This is the only hat I wore.
So this is your little spot there, isn't it? In the cockpit. So as you can see, we've got the whole in cockpit enclosed because it's got a bit more chilly, so it's like a tent, and we've got all the sides up. Well, we've actually opened a few up to get some air today, but because of the rain and the waves were crashing right over, so it just kept things a little bit dry. I was going to say how good the kids have been, actually. They're so good at this now. They know what they're doing on these passages. They just get on with it. And the last 2 passages, I would say, has been two of the best passages, really. We just kind of, haven't really dragged on, and everyone's done their bit. The boys have done their watches. Apart from the last couple of days, because I didn't wake Yewan up because he was so exhausted, because it builds up on you after a few days, so I actually just let him sleep. And plus the fact that the conditions got a lot worse, so it wasn't really, it's kind of those situation where we need to sort of be quite on hand, really. So that's why I didn't wake him up. But see, sometimes when the conditions are quite bad, then we'd rather be up here anyway, because you won't really sleep, so we just do an extra hour. Yewan reckons I'm a helicopter parent. I don't think so.
I want the responsibility if my mum, I feel like my mum doesn't trust me, so I don't feel like she trusts me, so yeah.
You'd rather be woken up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the boys have done really well. So I think sometimes when they do their watches, they're more part of the actual boat life, really. And we all feel like we're doing our bit. So it creates a nice atmosphere, I think, a team atmosphere. So we've not really had any major breakages on this passage, but we did have a few issues, like told you about the outhaul on the mainsail, and yesterday actually, we didn't video this, but one of the ropes off the pole got caught in the block, so I couldn't furl out or even in actually, but we managed to get that line out. It got really stuck in there, jammed in there. And I think lesson learned on that really is to ideally put all the ropes away, we're not using them. We leave the pole out, it's all rigged up, ready to go, but they should really be put away. Although in these conditions, you also don't really want to go out there and start doing that because, you know, you're on the deck. So, but you just got to be extra careful if you've got lines around. But otherwise, it's been pretty good again.
So I'm just checking how many amps we're putting in, amps going out. So we've got lithium batteries and we've got the sun, and we're making energy with the prop gen. I don't want them to get too full. Just, lithiums will just keep on soaking up the energy. So I kind of want to push them down a bit. So I've been heating some water up, making some bread, made an omelette, and now I'll boil the kettle. It's weird, it's like with lead acid batteries and AGMs, you're always trying to kind of keep them full, but with lithiums you're trying to keep them sort of a midway point. But it's one of the worst problems to have at sea in trying to use up some energy. Yeah, I was just in the middle of making bread, and then a wave just hit us on the side, and the bread maker just jumped upside down and sort of smashed against the side. So I mean, it's amazing it's still going. I thought it was broken, but it's so robust, that thing. There's bits of glass falling out, the lid's broken off, everything's broken on it, but it just seems to kind of carry on going. So we're still making bread.
We were just hanging out in the cockpit, and then I saw the solar panel just start going woo and banging onto the solar arch.
You're not going out, Yewan? Yeah, really?
I just want to see maybe
No,
video.
you're not. No, honey. Not in this.
I'll get on.
I know, but it's just, we've got another problem then, haven't we?
What difference
It makes a big difference if you go overboard. Yeah, it does. It makes a big difference.
It makes everyone happier.
It makes a difference. What do you think? It's not going to notice. Oh, Ewan's gone. Never mind. Let's carry on. Thank you for watching and enjoying these videos. So if you're the type of person that would like to thank us in return, then you can simply click on the Super Thanks button below, or otherwise you can support us on Patreon and get more than just 4 videos a month from as little as $3 a month. We look forward to seeing you there.
And a golden flag said, hey, I had a dream last night.